Lighting.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Weekly. Want to say hi? Want to say hi to everybody? My mascot wants to say hello. Want to say hello? No? Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Cool. I'll give it 2 minutes and we'll get started. I'm fired up for today. I got some good stuff for you. It's going to be good. All right, 1 more minute. You guys are dropping like flies. I don't like it. Hi. Excited to see everybody. You all look so nice. Oh, looks like somebody had their eye poked out. Oh my goodness. Poor thing. Hope you all are good. Yes, I will still be doing this in Vancouver next week while I am there. Yes, that is the plan. I will have to assess the situation when I get there to make sure my internet's good enough to live stream, but I'm pretty sure I can make that still happen. How many of you will be in Vancouver for David Wood's Train the Trainer? Many of you? Look how nice you all look. All right. So quiet when you turn off all the dingers. All right, hold on, I'm gonna let my dog out real quick. He's a little cranky. Come on. Come on. All right. You guys ready to rock and roll? Yeah? Awesome. All right. Well, I'm fired up today. I am, because it's usually in our second 30 days of the 90-day game plan where people fizzle out, where the excuses come, where the excitement wears off, where people disappear. So bravo to you for not disappearing. I'm going to have many of you interacting today, even though you don't know it yet. I'm taking inventory of who's here, so be ready. Be ready to share. Even if I don't see you, I can see you, so don't you worry. I'm really excited to talk to you guys tonight. I am just following the 90-day game plan, so it's not anything that's like rocket science or anything, but sometimes we need a little structure. Would you guys agree? Yep. Awesome. So those of you that were at Celebration and at Eric Worre's leadership event, this is now week 5, and he talked about the 10 characteristics of outstanding leaders. And as I've mentioned before, I was really, really excited because I honestly, if I'm looking in the mirror and being really honest, I qualify in all 10 areas. The first week was vision. Leaders have a vision, and they don't waver from it. And in fact, we're going to talk about vision tonight. Leaders have belief, and if they're lacking in belief, they find a way to make it happen, whether it's with our company, whether it's in the products. We use the products. Most of us believe in the products with no problem. The compensation plan, most of us have made at least $1, so we believe in the compensation plan, and we've seen friends and family benefit from the compensation plan, so we know that works too. Belief in network marketing, sometimes that's an area where people need to build belief, and if you want to be in the top 2%, you find a way to find belief in network marketing. The fourth thing is the company. I mean, we all love Isogenics and the Cougars and Eric and everything that they stand for. If it's not right for the associate or the customer, it's not right for the company. I don't know many companies that have that attitude, so belief in there is really big. And the part where most people fail in belief is in themselves. And so I tend to focus a lot on mindset and pouring love and belief into you guys. We have amazing tools and systems in place. But if we're lacking in belief in ourselves, usually none of that really matters. Would you guys agree? You can shake your head or give me a thumbs up if you agree. Awesome. So then the third week was about simplicity, and thank goodness with this amazing company, all the tools and resources and templates are at our fingertips, right? Would you agree? There's pretty much an event going on somewhere in the country every weekend too. If there's not Zoom calls, there's Super Saturdays, there's a Core 4 event, all sorts of stuff. So it's really easy to keep it simple and use the tools. You do not have to be a master of anything except hard work, vision, belief, because you have the tools and systems in place. You don't have to be a product expert. Thank goodness, because that is not me. But you have to be able to work hard, persevere, handle obstacles, and all that good stuff. Would you agree? Keeping it simple is important. Positivity was week 4. This is also where a lot of people, if they're in leadership, this is where a lot of people start to drop the ball. It's really easy when people aren't doing what we want them to do to be negative about it, to blame. I talked about the 3 J's that will crush any goal or dream that you have. That was justification, judgment, and jealousy. And those 3 things will usually send you into a negative road. So it's really, really important, no matter what's going on, to stay positive. No matter what's going on, no matter who's in your downline, no matter who's in your family, you have to own your stuff. You are responsible for your feelings and your reactions. We can't control people, places, or things, only our reactions to them. So I promise you, if you remain positive, even when people are rubbing you the wrong way, what I like to say, if somebody's rubbing me a little bit uncomfortably, you know how I like to own it is like, well, Trace, if you spot it, you got it. So I have to turn that mirror around. If I'm spotting something that's irritating me, chances are it's a reflection of me. So use that one. That one's really, really good. And it helps you stay positive because you have to own everything that you do, every decision you make. Your business center, yes, it is filled with people, but it all starts with you. Everything starts with you. Your people, your team, your family, your children will all do what you do, not what you say to do. So remain positive. You attract what you are. If you are negative, chances are your downline, your inner circle is pretty negative too, and you probably aren't real happy most of the time. Would you agree? Yep. You know, it's interesting because I used to be one of those negative people. I really, really was. I was pessimistic. I was always thinking somebody was out to get me. I was judgmental. I was jealous of most people. And then I would justify, obviously, why I was that way. And I was flat out miserable. And I kept attracting those kind of people in my life. And it's interesting now that, I mean, there is nothing that can pretty much rattle me. I mean, I'm still feisty and can get fired up. But I don't allow negativity in my space. And when you're positive, you are like this shield and armor where you can't even have negativity in your circle. I've had some recently and I didn't like it. And I was like, okay, it's hard to believe I used to function like this all the time with negativity around me. It just feels icky. It makes your stomach hurt. And so keep being positive, even when you have adversity. Your people that look up to you are watching you and how you handle adversity. So be the light, be the example. I like to say, know the way, go the way, and show the way, because that's how it works. So we're in week 5, and that 5th quality of high effective leadership is hard work. And thank goodness this was instilled in me from birth. I came out of the womb knowing what hard work was. I think it was the generation that my dad grew up in, and he was the oldest of 7 and had to work really hard from the time he was a little boy. So from early on, that was one thing I was not lacking, thank goodness. Because when push came to shove and my life started to fall apart and divorces happened and economy taking a hard hit happened, I knew how to work hard. And for some of you, this is a struggle. You know, it's easy to work hard when things are going your way, right? But where a lot of people tend to not work so hard is when it gets hard, when you have opposition, when you have rejection, when you have people that aren't following your vision. or they're making fun of your vision, or they're ripping you down, or they're talking behind your back. And a lot of times this is when we throw hard work out the window. And it makes me sad. I mean, you know, working hard is a good thing to teach your family, your children. And, you know, with what I have done with Isogenics in a short 3 years, a lot of people think it was really easy, that it looked really easy. And the one thing that I have a hard time with within Isogenics is that we show a lot of the glory and not much of the story. And I think that leaves people feeling insecure, that maybe it's not for somebody like me. And I'm here to tell you, and that's why I've been completely honest about every part of my journey along the way, because I think it's really, really important that you know, if I can do this, if I can overcome the things that I've had to overcome, not just before Isogenics, but even during Isogenics, that you can do it too. You know, it is never as easy as it looks. I promise you. But the more often that you do it and the more consistent you stay, it does get easier, because it's, okay, look at a freight train, okay? Like, let's say you get a freight train moving. You know how hard it is to stop a moving freight train? It's really hard. Like, if you're ever at one of the railroad crossings and you hear that train trying to stop, it's painful. And it's like, oh, you can hear the brakes screeching. But once it does stop, do you know how much harder it is to get it back started? A lot harder. And so, you know, although what I have done looks easy to some, it really, really isn't. It's just my freight train has never stopped moving. And so it has slowed down at times, no question, but, you know, it's easier to get that speed back up if it doesn't stop. So when I talk about, you know, touching your business every single day, I mean that. If you don't, it's like starting a freight train from scratch every single day, and it gets harder and harder. You'll burn out. You'll get frustrated faster, all those things. Does that make sense to you guys? Is that a good analogy? It really, really, you know, even if it's 5, 10, 30 minutes a day, you know, depending on your life and how you have to fit this in the pockets of your life. If you're full-time, I'm serious, you should just be busting a move all day long with income-producing activities. But it is never as easy as it looks. Some of these amazing people in Isogenics that have done extraordinary things, you know, the only thing different from them is they do extra. They work harder. You know, they're doing the work every single day, inside and out, even when things happen. So I just want to encourage you that hard work is not something to take lightly. It's not something I can really teach you, except to stay in the game. Always keep your skin in the game, even when it gets really, really hard. I'm going to transition because the topics of our 90-day game plan this week are vision, which I love, connecting, and time management. And I'm going to play you a little video. I don't normally do anything but talk, but I think that this one is really, really appropriate. I'm going to attempt to share my screen. We'll see how this goes. I'm not the most tech savvy, but I want you to sit back. It's about 5 minutes long. Please watch it. It is so powerful. You're going to get goosebumps, and I'm excited for you guys to see it. So hold on a second. Let's see what I can do here.
For me, it has been to be that guy that does what people say can't be done, you know. And I think it started with trying to please my mother and trying to please my grandmother, and they always wanted higher for me. They always wanted more for me, and it got to the point that I wanted to be something. I wanted to be somebody. I want to be the person that is the first person there and the last person to leave. That's who I want to be, because I think that the road to success is through commitment and through the strength to drive through that commitment when it gets hard. And it is going to get hard, and you're going to want to quit sometimes, but it'll be colored by who you are and more who you want to be.
I think some people, and maybe I used to think once you got successful, you could, you're successful and it's okay, now you can kind of just relax a little bit. But that's not the case at all. You have to pedal even harder. You have to work even more. There are more opportunities that need more time and dedication. And in order to do them well, you have to really hunker down and do the hard work. But I've never been afraid of hard work. And I always tell people when I'm asked, and it's pretty often that I'm asked about dreams and achieving creative goals, that I always believe that the bridge between reality and a dream is work. And I always, in moments of despair and doubt and dark days, focus on the work. I show up and I work and I work and I work.
It's not about passion. Passion is the game. If you are pissed that you're falling asleep, then you're winning. And if you're not, you're losing. It's as simple as that. And I'm convinced with every piece of my soul that the far majority of the people in this room do not love to death what they do. I started Wine Library TV on my 30th birthday. I was driving from New York to New Jersey to the store and realized I was only 99% happy. That 1% made me change my entire life. If you're not 100% pumped every second, if you actually are happy it's the weekend or are pumped to go on vacation, your shit is broken. There's a dirty word that nobody ever wants to talk about. It's the dirtiest word in the game. Work. You have to work your fucking face off to kill it. And there is no substitute. And the only way you're going to work 15 hours a day and pay that sacrifice to be away from your loved ones and travel and hustle is if you're doing something around the subject matter that you live and breathe and die for.
I was going to give a presentation, and this voice inside of me said, you can't do this. You don't have everything it takes. I shut up. I have got to do it. You get scared sometimes. Your mind will go blank on you. Some people you will allow to unnerve you. You wonder, what's wrong with me? I'm not crazy. That's why you got to learn to make a conscious, deliberate, determined effort to stand up inside yourself. Working on yourself, watching that inner dialogue, it will determine the quality of your life. No one's going to tell you when to throw a left, right, or jab, but life will throw obstacles at you. People can give you advice. People can tell you what they went through, but you can't give up. Anytime you see an obstacle, which I call a tree, you are the answer, which I call the axe. Anytime you chop a tree down, it takes more than one try. It may take 100, maybe 200, 300, 400. But you can't give up after one try. Keep going. You're gonna have to fight. Some days it may feel like you can't make it through. But you just have to take one more step. You have to think about what got you over yesterday. But when you grind, you won't regret going through everything you had to go through. Take the shot right now. This is the perfect moment for you to go after all your dreams. Somebody needs to hear the words of your testimony. Somebody needs to know how you made it.
All right, I'm gonna try and put this back. Could you guys see all that? Is it good? Good stuff, right? I apologize for the swear word in there, but it made its point. And you know, when I talk about vision, And I think, you know, we talked about the why even before we started our first week and our vision, and you all made vision boards, right? Are you keeping them at super close? I mean, mine is right here, you know, and it's usually sitting right across from me, and it's got all the things that I wake up every day 100% passionate about. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not 100% passionate about doing this, you're going to quit. You won't work as hard as you should. You know what I'm saying? So you have to fall in love with every part of this journey, not just the end result. And, you know, I think that's where we struggle. We want the end result, but we don't always want the hard work. And that's what makes the difference between champions and not. It's not that they have more skills. It's not that they have more talent. It's just they're willing to push through the hard parts of the journey. And, you know, I loved what Gary Vee said in this video about, you know, when he woke up one day and realized he was only 99% happy, he wasn't as motivated to get up and do it. And that 1 extra percent was what made him change his life. And honestly, that missing percentage is what made me change mine too. I was going through life and I was getting by, and most of us are getting by. Would you agree? We're getting by. But when you make a vision board, you realize that maybe there's something bigger that you're missing. And, you know, whatever that missing piece is, that could be your motivation to work hard, to find the parts of the journey that are hard that you actually thrive on. You know, the hard parts of the journey are the rejection, the objections. You know, those things are the hard parts. Those are the things that usually make us quit. And you know what? I changed my mindset in the beginning because those aren't my favorite things. They weren't. And now they are my favorite things. It's all in your mindset and how you frame it in your head and how you allow yourself to react to those things. And when I switched that mindset, not only did it happen a little less, but it became so much more fun. It came so much more fun. But you really need to be in love with this, not just the pretty sparkly stuff that everybody sees. You need to fall in love with the stuff that nobody sees, the hard work that nobody, you know, does a Facebook post about, the things that nobody even notices, but it shows up 30, 60, 90 days later. You know, those are the important things. For me, like recognition for me is not something that I'm ever driven by. In fact, it makes me really, really uncomfortable. And I realize some of you, that may be a motivation for you, and it's totally okay. But I think that's why it was so easy for me to do the hard work without recognition, because the things that really build a legacy are not the things that get recognized. It's the hard work day in and day out. It's the consistency. It's the getting back up when you get knocked on your ass, you know, things like that. Those aren't things that show up in a Facebook post. You know what I mean? But those are the things that will make all the difference in every aspect of your life, not just this isogenics thing that we love so much. So I'm going to really ask you, you know, if this is not something you love, either find a way to love every part of it, maybe shift some things around, maybe work on yourself a little bit more, maybe, you know, look at your vision board, keep it in plain view so when the hard things happen, you don't lose sight of why you said you wanted to do this. At the beginning of this, all of you raised your hands. At the beginning of this whole, you know, 90-day game plan, you all said you wanted to be in that top 2%. Is that still the case? Yeah. So that means it's going to be really, really hard. The top 2% in this company take hits day in and day out that nobody knows about. We get knocked on our butts and we get back up. We don't complain about it. We're not negative about it. We just do it. And so that's sometimes what it takes. And, you know, keeping your vision crystal clear. Another thing that I did in my first, 3-4 months was crystal executive. This should be everybody's goal. Even if you've hit it, you want to hit it again to secure your organization. I didn't just stop at 5 and 5. I didn't want to stop till I had 20 and 20, because that will secure your legacy. It will keep you in pools if you keep growing, which if you've got 20 and 20, it'll keep growing. So even if you have hit executive already, you should have one of these taped where all your distractions are. You really, really should. The things that help you, or the things that keep you from focusing on your vision and on your why. And in fact, what I like to do, and what I did do in my first few months, and I still do it to this day, I have pictures of my why every corner I turn. And so, you know what you do? You put them together. So every time you want to think a distraction is way more important, you have to look your why in the face and say, you know what? This little insecurity that I'm having, this little uncomfortableness that I'm feeling is more important than you. And I know if your why was sitting right in front of you, none of you could actually say that to them. Would you agree? So then why are we letting, you know, insecurity and fear stand in the way? Why? Don't do it. Don't do it. You know, it's worth it. It builds character. I think Jimmy Smith said, the yeses built his business, but the no's built his character. And it's so, so true. The more no's you get, the stronger your character is. And you know if I could give you any advice on your vision and your why and staying strong in it, you know, my vision is non-negotiable. My why is non-negotiable, whether or not anybody shows up. And I think that's where sometimes people will make shifts and throw stuff up at the wall, hoping something sticks, or shifting their own why. And you need to keep going until, you know, long before anybody knew my name, I was still doing exactly what I do today. Nothing has changed. I still do the same boring things to build a business today that I did in my first 6 months. And just because people now know my name, nothing has changed. Yes, I speak in front of people sometimes a lot more. I used to just speak in front of my cat when nobody would show up for a lunch party. You know, now I can fill a room at least. But I'm doing nothing different today than I did, you know, back 3 years ago. I still have a Map to Crystal executive. I still have my why. I still have my vision board at the forefront, and it is still non-negotiable, whether or not anybody shows up. Can we agree that we are going to stay solid in our vision, regardless if it should never be contingent on a rank advancement? It should never be contingent on an enrollment. Your why is what gets you up in the morning. Your why is what you would take a bullet for. You know, so why would you stop just because somebody said no? Right? Your why is why you get up every single day and do the do. Your why is why you have that rubber butt and you bounce back up. Your why is why you make the hard decisions and choose different people to be hanging out with. It's why you choose to surround yourself with nothing but positive and make the hard decisions. It is why you choose purpose over popularity. And honestly, if you're doing everything out of love, it gets a lot easier. Stop living in your fear. Seriously, and I know many of your stories, and you've got busy lives and stuff going on. But if you're acting out of love instead of that fear, it gets easier. Okay? Question, how did I push past fear of success? You know, fear of failure or fear of success? Because I feared both. If you want to know how I pushed past fear of failure, I had 2 kids to worry about, honestly, and they were looking at me like, what are we going to do? And our whole world had fallen apart, and everybody had written me off, which was fine. I do better under pressure anyway. However, you know, when you look your 2 beautiful kids in the face and know that you're all they have, you get past fear. And quite honestly, after going through recovery, I realized that most of my decisions were based on fear. And that doesn't serve anybody. And when I made that shift, that everything I would do was out of love, even the scary things, you know, to be of service to others is scary sometimes, especially when people don't want it. And there are some people out there that don't want to feel good. And when you're loving on them, it makes them really uncomfortable. But I do it anyway. I wanted to be of service every single day. And as far as the fear of success, you know, my entire life, I would get really, really close and self-sabotage because I'm really, really, really uncomfortable being in the spotlight. I don't enjoy it. It is not why I did this. I happen to be pretty okay at it. And how I get past it is I know that God gives us all certain gifts. And, you know, one of my favorite Bible verses is 1 Peter 4:10, about using those gifts to serve, whatever they are. And you can look that one up. If you look up the chapter 4 in 1 Peter, if these are your beliefs, I just read it through the other day, and it was the epitome of why I know I'm here. And that helps me push back any kind of fear. It's either fear or love. And so, you know, I'm not going to make any decisions, or nothing is motivated by fear for me. So when you're loving, it's super easy to push back everything. Everything is based on love. So what the heck is there to be afraid of? When you're acting out of love, that is relying on faith that the right people will show up, that the lessons will be learned. And if you're in your faith and in your love, then there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, it's really, really, really that simple for me. I realize that it took me 40 years to figure that crap out. And for some of you, you may just be starting. And I want you to know that that's okay. That's okay. Because I had to hit rock bottom in order to come to that realization. And now I don't recommend rock bottom to anybody. It is not a fun place to be. However, lots of beautiful things happen there. Lots of beautiful things happen there. And I talked about this on Saturday, that rock bottom has built way more champions than privilege. So, yeah, that's how I get past that. The scripture was 1 Peter 4:10. The whole chapter 4 is amazing, though. I love it. Love it. So, you know, when we have our vision board and, you know, maybe we ate something we didn't like the night before and we're down on ourselves because we blew a cleanse, or, you know, we missed an appointment with somebody that we promised, you know, I mean, things, we do things sometimes, you know, those are kind of self-sabotaging things, because maybe in your mind you're like, well, what if I fail, but what if I succeed? What will people expect from me if I succeed? And I gotta say, that was really scary for me, because I thought in my mind, what the heck do I know? Why would they want to follow me? Why would they want to look to me for leadership? And again, it is all based on love. You know, love is service, service is love. There is no gray area for me. And so, you know, I rise and grind every day to serve. It isn't necessarily just for Isogenics. Every move I make is intentional to be of service to others, whether it's just walking out the front door to see somebody at a store and smile at them. You know, if you have a heart of service in every single thing you do, everything, things start to happen. And it becomes so second nature that when you're trying to do Isogenics, it is so easy to be in service and to actually love what you do. Even when people are a little high maintenance, you know, you're in control of how high maintenance they are. If you feed into that and enable that, guess what? They're going to continue to be high maintenance. But if you set expectations, I mean, I seriously don't even tolerate that. Some people get mad at me and I'm totally okay with it. But it's like with kids in school. I know I've talked about this before. You know, if you've got kids in school, you don't want the teacher just giving them the answer because your kid is high maintenance, right? They're not going to ever learn how to find the answers if the teacher just gives them the answers. You know, and as leaders, it is not our job to micromanage or enable people. We are tour guides. We know the way, we show the way, or we know the way, we go the way, and we show the way. And then, you know, many of you have been in this for a long time. Many of you. And you know what you need to do. And I think some of you keep looking for the secret sauce. And I'm telling you, the secret sauce is love and service in everything you do, not just Isogenics. But every time you leave the house, even when, you know, you get delayed or you're stuck in traffic, and I have to work on this one because sometimes, you know, when I know I'm pushing time, which is on me, it is always when I'm going to hit every stoplight or somebody's going to drive a little bit less than I like. And, you know, I have to own that. And that's with everything that you do. So, you know, you find the blessing in it and you're like, well, I probably was, you know, a blessing somewhere. Okay, so good question. When did you incorporate being a thermometer? I'm not a thermometer, I'm a thermostat. I control the energy. I do. And, you know, the thermometer is basically like you're wearing masks. And many of you guys have heard me talk about the masks, right? Right? And when I smashed the masks, that's when I became a thermostat. If you are a thermometer, you are still wearing masks, and you are going to have to remove some. And because I'm a thermostat and I wear no mask, there is nothing that can change my vibe. There's nothing that I will allow to change my energy. There's not anything that anybody that will say that will derail me. There's not a situation, even when I was broke, even when I was walked out on, even when I didn't know how I was going to support my kids, even when all my friends left me, I was still a thermometer, or I was still a thermostat, because my vision was crystal clear. It was unshakable. I would take a bullet for it, and those people had to go. Those things had to go. I had to hit rock bottom. And you know what? I just kept moving forward. And it's a decision. It's a decision. I know that sounds cliche. I know it sounds really easy and fluffy, but it's just the freaking truth. Because once I made the decision that there was no going back, that no masks would go on, that I was going to be a thermostat for the rest of my life, things got easier. Didn't mean that trouble didn't come my way. It didn't mean that stuff didn't hit the fan from time to time. It still does. But when you're a thermostat, you're just easy peasy. But if you're like being, a thermometer and up and down, not only is that exhausting, you're not consistent. The people around you will know you're not consistent. You will allow people to dictate what you do, when you do it, how you do it. You're justifying, you're in judgment, and you probably got a little jealousy if you're a thermometer. Let's just be real. It's a hard one to swallow, and I'm not saying that I was a thermometer for 4 years. I was. And I still work hard every day to maintain that thermostat level. I didn't just wake up and make that decision and then not work at it. Like, I made the decision that I wasn't going back, but as things would come my way, that just meant I had to work harder at maintaining that. Okay? I'm not just saying you just make a decision and woohoo, it's easy, because it's not. It's the hard work every day. It's just like with recovery. Yeah, I made the decision that I was never going back. However, it's one day at a time, 1 minute at a time some days. But I've made the decision that I'm not going back, so I'm going to have to do the work. It works if you work it. Okay? Okay. All right. Let's see. I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. If you have any more questions on this vision thing, I think it's really important, because I think this is where, we make our vision boards and it's really cute. We have, little get-togethers, whether it with I did mine with my kids and it was amazing. And then, it's really exciting when we come back from celebration and, everybody's all liquored up on adrenaline and, we're getting out the glue sticks and, making the pretty boards, and we even hang them up. But are they where you need to see them? Are they? And did you just put stuff up there that looked really good? Did you put stuff up there that you wouldn't be embarrassed if somebody saw it? I mean, you got to get to the heart. Like, the things that you take a bullet for is what needs to be at the forefront. And there are days that I don't want to do it. I'm not going to lie. There are days that I'd much rather shut down, never open up social media ever again. There are days that I don't want to leave the house, and I don't. But I know that there are people that need me. There are people that need you. There are people that need us that haven't come yet. And, just like in that video, the champions, when you think you've made it, I very easily could just say, I'm good. But most of the champions that you see in that video, they work harder than anybody. And I'm going to tell you right now, the top 50 in this company still work hard every day. They don't just sit on autopilot and let the money roll in. They just don't. And I don't. I really, really don't. Because I absolutely 100% love what we are blessed to do every day. So it gets much, much easier when you 100% love what you do, right? It's easy to work. And because we can work from anywhere, anytime, with whatever fits into your schedule, that makes what we do easier. I think it's important, like, I updated my vision board. It's different from a year ago. And, my vision board a year ago was more about, like, goals and trips and and status, like hitting a goal. You know, I wanted to hit Millionaire 177. I wanted to hit President's Quest. I wanted to do some things because I knew in order to do that, I'd have to bless a lot of people, but it was still the forefront. This vision board is much more about love and service. Everything has to do with love and service and a legacy. And that's what I want for all of you. And that's why I'm still in the game. I know I'm building a legacy and it's going to be great for my generations upon generations to come. But I know many of you haven't hit that yet. And so I know you're going to do what I do, not what I say to do. And so I will continue to do the do. So I can never say I'm not willing to do something that I'm going to ask you to do. So even if you've hit a spot where you're happy, if you have a heart of service, you can do a lot more with a lot of money. And I know that I'm not driven by money, but I'm driven by contribution. And I know I can contribute a lot more time and a lot more things and a lot more money if I have it, right? I had such a heart of contribution, but when I could barely make ends meet, I had no time and no money to do that. And it was painful to not be able to contribute. So if not for any other reason, you know, if you're where you're happy, great. But I'm guessing that if you're on this call, you're probably not where you want to be. Okay. So keep that at the forefront. Keep that at the forefront. Let's see. Yes. How do you love on people and follow up when they don't want it? You know what? You just spread love and light on the world. You know, if they've asked me a question about it and then they kind of go dark, that's okay. They may just need my light to see it. It doesn't mean I stalk them or anything like that. I'm just that light. And I don't necessarily bless and release. I bless and release toxic people. But sometimes people that don't want it yet, maybe they just don't know yet. And sometimes they're in such a dark place that they need light to see the way. And by being light, I mean just doing the do every day, staying consistent. You know, let them know by your actions that you weren't just talking to them because you wanted to enroll them. You know, the people that have asked me about it 3 years ago that still haven't enrolled, I don't ever just write them off because they went dark on me. I continue to be love and light every single day, whether it's on social media or when I'm out in public with them or whatever. But they need to know that your relationship with them is not contingent on them enrolling or not. And I see a lot of people make that mistake. They'll be talking to people and somebody will say, hey, I'm interested. They'll go dark and then you run into them in public and you make it awkward. It's like, why does your relationship have to be contingent on that? I guarantee you they'll never enroll with you if you're that, ever. And I know for a fact there are people that they would see me after they kind of went dark and they're hiding, and I will just immediately go up to them and hug them and never even mention Isagenix. And you can kind of see that relief on their face, like, okay, she's not that weird network marketer. She's not going to hard sell me. She's not going to like tag me in 800 things on Facebook now. But I will send them a text every once in a while and say, you were in my heart today. Hope you're having a beautiful day. End of story. Or when I do see them out in public, I will just, you know, say, hey, how's so-and-so? Like if it's one of their kids or whatever, never bringing up Isagenix again. They know that they've asked you about Isagenix and they know that they haven't responded and they know that they haven't gone dark. You don't need to point it out to them. But you do have a responsibility to stay in relationship with them. Even if they're a stranger, they're a new friend. Just because it's a stranger, I love strangers that become new friends. And I don't treat them any different than somebody that's in my family even. You know, if they're a new friend and I have their contact information, from time to time, they're going to get a text saying, you were on my heart today. Hope you're having a beautiful day. You know, it doesn't have to be about Isagenix. If you make it all about Isagenix, they will never enroll with you. And you know, there would be people like in other companies that have talked to me about it. And if they conducted themselves a little bit more like we're talking about right now, I would be so much more open to even looking at it. But because they are the weird network marketers, I don't even want what they've got. I don't want to be partnered up with people like that that are so desperate because they're not making it about me. You know what I mean? So when you think about talking to people, think about how you would want to be approached, whether it's anything. I don't want to feel pushed into anything. And I want to, like, I can handle a bad product if it's great service. If I'm getting great, like if I'm at a restaurant and it's the worst meal I've ever had, if the service is impeccable, I will go back believe it or not, because I am so attracted to positivity, to amazing customer service, because that is what makes the world go round. Right? Does that make sense? Like I would not go to a place that, yeah, I had a great meal, but the service was shit. Like I just wouldn't. I hate bad customer service. And I love when I'm talking to people that love what they do, even if we sometimes as a society look down on what they do. You know, I bartended and served tables for 15 years because I loved it. I went to college. I did, but I loved being of service to others. I loved a new person every 5 minutes. And you know what? There were people that looked down on me. I'm like, listen, you have no idea how much money I make doing this, but I just love what I do. And you know that if you think about that, you know, about when you're out in public and what you're attracted to, you may just be all about the meal, and that's totally okay. I'm more about the experience. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you, within Isagenix, we have amazing products. We don't have to sell them. They're amazing. But what kind of experience are you going to give people that you're talking to? That's the key. And as Isagenix becomes a household name, and it is very fast, what is going to set you apart from somebody else? And it doesn't mean you get desperate or cutthroat, but you're going to have to be that little bit extra, that extra customer service. There are certain companies I will do business with because they're Amazon seriously has my business for the rest of my life because of their amazing customer service, even when they mess up. Right? How are you? Are you the Amazon? Are you the Nordstrom? Nordstrom will have my business for the rest of my life as well for the same exact reason, even when they mess up. How are you when you mess up? Because we all do. We all do. This is kind of talking about connecting as well. I mean, if you go out into your life being what you would want to come at you, you'd be surprised how your approach to this whole Isagenix thing changes, right? And I know many of you are desperate, in a desperate situation. Sometimes there's a gift in desperation. And I talked about this, I get called on this a lot because people hear me now talk about, you know, I've always been motivated by service and it was always about them. And they're like, yeah, that's easy for you to say now that you have everything that you have. And I guarantee you, if you ask any of the first 10 people I enrolled, they would have told you I'm exactly the same today as I was then when I was enrolling them, even though I had no idea how I was going to put a roof over my head. Because it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me. So be in service, be in love, choose love over fear. Love trumps fear. I mean, I've said this every week now, and it's really just true. It really, really, I know you want the secret sauce. That is the secret sauce. We love and we serve and we actually care about what we do. And especially once we get that enrollment, you need to treat them like a friend for life. It doesn't mean you enable them. Does not mean you enable them. That's why we have a 14-day talk to kind of wean them off of us. It's why we have amazing Facebook groups. So we have a community and a culture that they can tap into even when life is happening for us. It doesn't mean that we are on call 24/7, but it means we are, beautiful servants, right? That we actually care when something's going on for people. It means even when you have people in your team and you're working with your business builders and a crisis happens in their family, you don't hammer on them that, oh, now you got to do this even more. No, you just love them because it's really, really hard, right? That's not the time to put the more pressure on. You just love them through it. That is what great leaders do. That is what great leaders do, because this isn't about you. Whatever your organization looks like is a direct reflection of what you do and how you lead and how you love. And if it's not where you want it to be, chances are you're not loving enough. I'm just being really honest. So there's that. Okay. So we're going to talk about connecting, and this was hard for me. I mean, it's easy on social media, and I know a lot of you rely only on social media, and although that's fun and it's easy, that is the problem, is that it can be easy to connect with people on social media. But what do you do with that You know, once you've connected with somebody, what do you do with that? If you're doing the same kind of Facebook posts over and over and over, expecting something to happen and it's not, you know, are you being vulnerable and letting people know that this is hard, that, you know, falling off the wagon is sometimes hard, and, you know, this self-sabotage that we have, and wearing masks, and this is fun too. I mean, it's not all gloom and doom, but it's really, really fun when you do have a breakthrough. It's really, really fun when you overcome an old habit and pattern that you have. I mean, vulnerability is what connects people to us. It really does. And I'm not just saying like the deep, dark yuck. It's the really good stuff. You know, vulnerability for me, I don't talk about the hard stuff in the middle of it necessarily, because most people don't want you dumping all your stuff on them. They want to know how you overcome it. You know, and when you're sharing vulnerability, only a little 20% of the conversation should be where you were. 80% of it should be how you overcame it and how you're crushing it and how you're continuing to do it. I gotta meet somebody, hold on. Oh, you watching the Bears game? I think we're watching some Monday Night Football. If you haven't muted your thing, go ahead and do it, because I thought I muted everybody, but it's not. Thank you. So does that make sense about the 20%? Like, I mean, we've all got stuff we've been through, and it is our stories. When I talk about telling stories, you know, our stories are a big part of how we are vulnerable, but only 20% of it, very little of it should be how hard it was. Enough for them to relate to us and connect with us. But more importantly, especially because we're a solution-based company, they want to know what the solution was to the stuff that you went through. How did you overcome it? You know, where I think so many of you guys have it flip-flopped. You're so emotionally attached to your story that you go on and on and on about the deep, dark stuff, and very little is spent on how you overcame it, or even if you have overcome it. And if you haven't overcome it, you probably shouldn't be talking about it as much. Does that make sense? People want a solution, because otherwise you're just dumping on people. And I guarantee you, they won't want any part of it. And it's same thing with business. You know, our business, 80% of it should be spent connecting with new people, enrolling people, making new friends. Only 20% should be training people and coaching people. And so many of us, once we make the decision that we want to be a 2%er, we flip-flop it. And we wonder why our business goes flat or it degresses. And it's because, again, we're flip-flopping. We think that all of a sudden, because we want to be a 2%er, we have to be 80% management mode. And what happens is you have an unduplicatable system. You become somebody's boss, which they don't want. I mean, why we do network marketing is so we can be our own CEO, right? And you become, I mean, you're unduplicatable. I mean, if you're spending 80% of your time connecting and enrolling new people, guess what your team is going to do? Connect and meet new people and enroll them. But if you're in management mode, most people don't want to do that, and so they'll do nothing. And that's why if you've had a business go like this and then all of a sudden like this, I guarantee you that's what you've done. You've stopped enrolling and you're managing and micromanaging. And I know for some people it's really, really hard because, you know, many of us started this business not wanting the business, right? And all of a sudden we make the decision that we're going to do the business and we think we have to do something different than when we first started, and you really, really don't. You really, really don't. You connect, you meet new people, you share the story compliantly, and you enroll them. And then you serve them and love them and care about them. Rinse and repeat. That's it. That's the secret sauce. And then you do it over and over again. And then you fill your brain with good stuff, so you're always staying positive. You're working on yourself, but that's a small portion. Many people are spending 80% in personal development. And although it's really, really important, it's only 20% of, it's in that 20% part. Okay? So I want to ask a few people. I'm going to call on you, and I want to ask how you are connecting with new people, because I've seen you've been enrolling and, you know, you're kind of new at this. So Irene, I'm going to call you out because you're getting on an airplane in the morning. So I'm unmuting you. You're unmuted. And share with them, like, because you started this just for the products. You know, we've known each other a long, long time. And all of a sudden, because of your transformation, it became kind of natural for you. And now you're sharing like crazy, even before you're about to go on vacation. So what kind of shift have you made in your mind, and how are you talking differently to people now than maybe when you first started sharing?
Mostly when I first started sharing, I was really concerned about the isogenics. How do I approach them? How do I tell them what I'm doing? And now, recently, I am not necessarily leading with that and just making a connection with people without talking about it. I often do have my cups with me though, and that brings up conversations. If they ask, then I'll show them, or tell them what I'm doing. And I think I've just had a shift in not being so desperate to share with people, but just let it kind of happen. And just talk to friends about what I've been doing. And my transformation definitely did help bring conversations up with a lot of my friends. So.
Well, and that's you staying consistent on the products, which that's important. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you love the products, it's easy to stay consistent, but so many people don't, and I don't know why. And I think taking that pressure off yourself and just being Irene has really helped, because you're amazing. You're amazing. And, you know, you just sharing you is really, because the products are amazing, and obviously they've done amazing things for you, but I love seeing the shift you've made. It's beautiful, and your willingness to learn and grow is awesome. And you're kind of shy by nature, and to see you come out of your shell a little bit just because you want to serve people is beautiful. So
Thank you.
awesome. I'm going to mute you, okay? Jenny Snyder, unmute yourself. I saw you. All right, I'm going to unmute you.
I got it. Hi.
All right, so you've been at this about 3 years now, right? Yeah, 3 is this summer. And, you know, you raced to executive and you got there, and then all the wheels fell off the axle, right?
Right.
And explain to them how you, after you got done beating yourself up for that, because you did for a little bit, which a lot of people do, how you made a shift, because you're building in a different way than you did when you first started, and it's beautiful. It was beautiful then, but there's something different about it now that I really, really love, and I want you to share with them how you're doing that and how you're talking to people differently and how you're connecting way different than you were. There's a whole different energy and posture about you today than there was 3 years ago, and it's awesome. So share with them kind of what you're doing and how you made the shift and what you're doing today.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, I rose to the top, you know, to my top, and I got all excited. I got all, you know, like, you know, I put the work in, I did everything, and then I just everything sort of imploded. I never worked on myself. I never took the time to really just kind of go inside and, you know, give myself permission to be okay with my flaws and work on my flaws and work on, you know, just loving people. It was more out of desperation, really, like you were talking about earlier. You know, early on, I was just like, I got to do it, I got to do it, I got to do it. And the shift happened when I really went inside and realized that this is a gift for other people. This is, you know, it's not about me. I mean, you hear that over and over again. It's about them. It's not about you. It's not about you. But that's so true, because when you make it about you, or when it comes out of a place of desperation, you're forgetting that this is a solution-based company. This is, you know, something we had to offer other people, and, you know, something that it's just bigger than ourselves. And so when you make it about you and you get stuck in there, you kind of get trapped. I got trapped in the, now what am I going to do? Then I started feeling really sorry for myself. I mean, I had a whole year where I gained 20 pounds back my business fell apart. Everything just, it's like I had to start over. And really that's what I did. I decided, you know what, it's time to just start over. Not that I bailed on anybody on my team that was left. But I started over in a whole new headspace. I was just more forgiving of forgiving to myself. And I just went ahead and allowed what happened to be in the past. I learned from it. And I just went forward going, okay, I did that. I'm going to learn from it. And I'm just going to move forward. I'm okay with that, with all those mistakes that I made. I'm not going to linger in, oh my gosh, poor me. It was poor me. I gained weight. I have all these excuses. No. I woke up. I said, you know what? This is not about me. It never was. It's time to just own it. And it's time to just, move forward and let that part go. Because if you hang on to it and you keep beating yourself up over it, it just keeps blocking you. And there's just no way you're gonna help anybody that way. You can't help people when you're not helping yourself. So I finally just helped myself, got myself into this better headspace, started taking care of myself. I put myself first, really, so that then I could be of service to other people.
You're awesome. Thank you.
How are you? Thank you.
After spending time with you, I could feel your energy even from thousands of miles away, but when I was actually in your presence, like you're good. And I know that you're going to stay there. This is not the Jenny that sabotages it. This is not the Jenny that goes back to what she was. This is a new Jenny that is ready to move forward, to own her stuff, not be the victim, and continue to just bless the heck out of people. And you blessed me. So I love you.
And I love you too. And you blessed me just as much. Thank you.
I'm going to meet you. Jared Horn and Casey Hernandez, are you guys on that? If you are in that big room of people, I want to talk to you. Jared Horn, are you there? I'm going to mute you guys. Is he there?
Oh, they're not here. No.
Where the heck are they?
Casey left. Casey left.
Oh, I'm going to knock her out. Is Jared there or no? Oh.
No, he's working.
Oh, bummer. Okay. I'll get back to them next week. Casey's in big trouble. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Hold on. All right. Rita Lawrence, I want to talk to you. I'm going to mute you. You're awesome too. All right, girl. You have had an amazing transformation and your social media presence has been really awesome. And I want you to talk about how you're connecting with new people, because of your post the other day was very enlightening, and there's a lot to your story I didn't know. And I thought it was really beautiful. And I'm sure from that vulnerability that you shared, your inbox probably filled up pretty quickly. Am I right?
I had several messages. Yeah.
So talk about that and how you built up to that. You didn't come out of the gates with that, but as you kind of worked on yourself and I mean, you didn't even share the whole story, but enough where I was like, holy moly. And, again, that vulnerability, they've been watching you, but it was that vulnerable piece that people really felt that connection, like, oh, okay, this is just a lot more than her rockin' abs at this point. This is so much more. So how have you been able to connect with people since then? How are you following up with them? And how are you staying duplicatable with that and using the tools and systems to make that process easier? Because I know when I got vulnerable, it was before I knew about tools and systems and I was a hot mess. So I know that you've learned probably faster than I did. So tell us how you're doing that.
Well, I've been working on myself a lot, and I don't feel like I've been vulnerable at all up until this point, because I've been hiding behind my masks. I mean, everything that you talk about and get into with that is, I resonate so much in my spirit with that, because I have so many masks that I still have on. And this journey began because I knew that I had been spending my life just hiding and not being me. And I knew I needed to focus on myself. And I knew it was going to take a while, I was not in it for a quick fix, and recently it has been a lot of confirmation on that, how I'm seeing that I am. I mean, there was a while where I felt like I just wasn't getting anywhere. Like I was just doing and doing, and I felt like I was doing everything, but it just wasn't coming through smoothly in the end. And it's just because I've just been still not being me. And there's most of the people in my family and friends list, even a lot of the closest people to me, don't know me at all. They know what they've seen and what my pictures show and what, have portrayed, but I've not opened up a lot of my life. And I know now that, that it's necessary, because I have this passion to impact people in a real way. And I see people hurting, and I see them going through their life yuck, and they can't talk about it because nobody else talks about it. So they're like, well, why would I say anything? I don't even know. And that's where I've always been. I don't even have any answers. Why would I even bring this up? Because it's just yuck. And I think that, and it's a lot of women my age, like older women, I feel like, that are in like the middle. We should be in the prime of our lives, and we're still stuck in living in a part of us that is really not us at all. And just seeking that freedom in my own self. And when people message me, or my friends, and it's not all easy. It's not all good messages. There's family that feel I should not be talking about this stuff. Like, this is secrets. Like, you don't talk about stuff like this. That's not right. You don't bring this stuff out to light. But if you don't do that, then you stay stuck in darkness and in fear and in self-doubt and worthlessness and all those horrible, horrible feelings that we often live in our entire lives. And I know I have to be an example.
Yep.
I have to put it out there, and it's going to be a slow game. This is not I'm in this. This is the long haul for me. And I got that recently, that kind of hit me and hit my heart, where I feel like I have fallen in love with something, and something that's helped bring healing into my life in so many areas that just were not expected. I'm a 100% sold out believer on the fact that we are what we eat, and that our nutrition and what we put in our body really affects us, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually, and can go either way. And I've experienced it for myself, and I just want to share with people. And I know in order to do that in a real raw way, I have to get real. I have to, first of all, get real with myself, and then just be there. I mean, I just say it like it is. I just tell them, this is what I've been through. This is what I'm doing now. And I have hope for the future. That's all I know right now. I hope for the future, and I get through every day. Like you said, that's so right. Hour by hour. Sometimes it's minute by minute. And
well, something I've learned is, and I learned this in recovery, and this helped me really be okay with taking off the masks. And, and I'm sure you're going to totally be choked up when I say this, that we're as sick as our secrets. And, the longer we hold those in, not only can we not be any good for anybody else, but we're making ourselves even worse and sick and unable to heal. So I applaud you, and I know you're in this for the long haul. I know that you, no matter what, you love this because you love serving people. And so, believe it or not, I have no doubt that this will move a little bit faster, because you have touched the hearts of so many, including me, and I'm proud of you. And keep doing it, because somebody has to go first, and you're so brave to do it. It's scary to go first, but keep doing it, because you are blessing the heck out of some people, so including me. So I love you. I'm really, really proud of you.
thank you.
You're welcome, honey. Really, really proud of you. Okay. So that kind of leads into time management. Most of what we've talked about is connecting, which, like I said, should be 80% of what you do. Now, how do you manage that into your life? How do you fit that in? You know, when you've got 8,000 kids running at you, and I see many kids on this tonight, and it's awesome that you guys are involving them. And one of the best things I ever did was involve my children in what I do and let them know my vision and, you know, allow them to participate in the vision. And if you have a spouse, involve them in it. And even if they're not real on board with it, you know, you be unshakable on that. But how do you fit this in the pockets of your life when you have a ton of kids? How do you fit this in your life when you have a full-time job? Or how do you fit this in when you have a spouse maybe that is saying, you know what, you're spending way too much time doing this. It's not working. I don't see any results. And, you know, when you stay locked into your vision and just show, hi, when you keep showing that you're not quitting no matter what, it builds more credibility. But I want to talk to Connie Reese. Where are you? You're back in Utah, I think, right? Unmute yourself.
Hello.
I saw you.
Home.
Hi. You have like a herd of children, and you have a husband that is like in dental school 800% of the time, and you're a perfectionist at heart, and you're a control freak in a way. And I know you've worked really hard on letting go of some of that, but how do you manage to fit all of it in and still be kind to yourself and let them know, you know, how you manage your time when you've got all that stuff going on?
Oh, you know, it's been a process to really learn how to do that. It's really because I am a perfectionist at heart. It's really been a lot of forgiving myself and giving myself more grace. The logistics of it is time blocking. It's an absolute must for myself. I have 4 kids, 3 different schools, 4 different times. My husband's not around ever really to help me out, and so time blocking has been huge. But just, you know, I do have a rolling university in my van. I'm constantly listening to audiobooks while I'm driving around town. I'm constantly trying to grow my heart. When I'm in the carpool lanes is when I message people. My heart is in autism, and so I do have a group of autism families that I keep up with, and so that's where my passion is, and that's where my team is growing, is within autism families. But it's really been about letting go of my perfectionist tendencies and just being more patient with myself, and just you know, the time blocking is I have to give my kids, my family first. They get their own designated time, and then after they go to bed, you know, I jump on calls. I get on Zoom trainings with Tracy, and you know, they went to bed and I jumped on. And so yeah, it's all about time blocking logistically, and then just giving myself grace. It's been hard to learn that, but I've done it.
You know, time blocking was a game changer for me, and I know what I time block. When you say time blocking, because there's a lot of people on this that they're like, well, what do you block in your time? So give an example of what one block of time works, like how you block it out. Because I'm sure that's like, I get it. I know exactly what I do, but everybody's a little bit different. But I know that you, with everything you have going on, people could relate to you a lot more than probably me, because I don't have littler kids, or I don't have a spouse, but explain what you do in your time blocks. That is the 80-20, I'm guessing.
Okay, so I'm up at 6:15 with all of my kids, and for the next 3 hours, it is getting them up, making lunches, getting them off to school. So it takes me until 9:15 to get 3 of them off to school. I come home 9:15, 9:30, and then I have my kindergarten goes to school at 11:20. So between 9:30 and 11, I'm taking care of my home. Okay, and so then between 11:30 and 2 o'clock, when I have to go start picking people up, that's when I come home and I start connecting. And so, you know, if I have some phone calls to return or some messages to return, emails, whatever, I do those things while my house is quiet. And then for the next 2 hours, I go and pick everybody up, and then it is my family time from about 4 to 7. Is time for my kids. We need to read, get homework done, get dinner, spend some time playing, just quality time. And then once they're in bed about 7:30, then that's time for me to get back to work. And so I get then I get on Facebook, is usually when I'm at my computer time, and I'm doing a lot of connecting then. But like I said, while I'm in carpool lanes and things like that, when I have a minute is when I can get on Facebook and make more connections, because I do build my business primarily on Facebook. I don't have time to go to to go to mommy groups and things like that. So that's what a typical day looks like. It's a little bit wild, but like you've been training, if we really want it, we make it work.
And I love what you said. I mean, family, it's about balance. And what I loved, what you've totally time blocked for Isogenics is 80% of it. It's the connecting, serving, loving, enrolling, that the time blocks that you have for Isogenics are doing the main thing. We're keeping the main thing. And, you've been doing this, gosh, what, 2 years now?
Almost 3.
Yeah, I mean, and you've done the do while your husband is in school all the time. You've moved, haven't you? Like twice. Is it twice since you started?
No.
What was that?
Just once to Utah. I mean, but that took me away from my support system too. So it is just all me.
Absolutely. And, like you said, you've got a child that requires a little bit more attention, and you are passionate about doing that. And I know that part of your why is to help get yourself to a position where you can focus on doing that a lot and giving back to that community and helping in that community, right? Well,
Absolutely.
you inspire me so much. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a recovering perfectionist, but your organizational skills just blow me away, and I'm obsessed with you a little bit. So, I took down some notes about your time blocking too. And although my life looks a little bit different than you, I kind of like what you do. And something Chris Harder taught me too. God, I love him, and he has a totally different life than you and even me. But all his personal stuff is done before noon. If he wants to sleep till 9, which is a luxury for a lot of you, I get, he sleeps till 9, but that only gives him 3 hours then for his own personal time. Because once 12:01 hits, that's when he returns calls and schedules his day. And, I could probably do that for myself, but, really schedule in the things that are important. Your family time, that has to be first. Block that in, no, non-negotiable. And I remember when my kids were younger, that after school time, between after school and bedtime, was insanity. But it is also the most important part of their day. It really, really is. And especially if you're able to be home with them, make it all about them. You don't get that time back. I promise you. This Isogenics business, as long as you work on it, after hours, after they go to bed, or get up a little bit earlier if you have to make it happen, do it. But don't negotiate that family time. Susan Sly even has 4 to 8. Those are off-limit hours. So thank you, Connie. I love you.
Love you.
All right, so we're almost done, and I kind of was not sure if I was going to share this with you, but God keeps tugging on my heart a little bit to share this with you. I'm going to end it with a song, and I'm going to kind of talk about it when it's over. It's an old song, but this is a newer version of it. I just love the words. It can be interpreted a few different ways, and I'll kind of share my interpretation of how this applies to us and connecting and Isogenics and our vision and our why after it's over. Like I said, this is an old school song, but with a new version to it. I'm going to play it so you can see the words and kind of just take it in. And like I said, I'll kind of translate what I feel I got from it. People have their own translation of it, but I'm really drawn to music and it moves me. I believe message. This song happened to drop into my lap today. I love the song, but I knew that God put this in my life today, and I keep being called to share it with you, so I'm going to, and because I don't ignore those tugs. And I'm going to share my screen with you again. I'm going to attempt this, so hold please. Let's try this. Let me see. Okay. Here we go. Oh, wrong one. Sorry. We'll do this one. Hold on. I gave you the wrong one. Hold on. Sorry. Can you see it?
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its scenes while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone. With the halo of a street lamp, I turned my color to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stared by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Who said you do not know? Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words out of my heart, teach you. Take all your battle, I reach you. Not my words, like silent raindrops fell. Echoed in the land of silence, and the people bowing to the neon god they inside my story is falling, and the words that it was falling. In the signs say the words of the prophets are ringing on the subway walls. Tenement halls whispered in the sound of silence.
Deep stuff. Okay, so I hope I didn't freak you out with that song. But, you know, it could be translated many different ways, and how I translated it is this way. You know, it's about a vision, and sometimes we have this vision, and how this applies to you today is a lot of us have this big, beautiful vision, and if we don't share it, if we don't act on it, it dies. And that song kind of like in the beginning, it talks about the mind games we play with ourselves and how we don't communicate what we feel. And it talks about distractions, you know, the neon lights and the masks, the silence. And, you know, if you listen to your why and trust your gut and you don't stay in your silence, you can make a change in this world, not just for you and your family, but thousands of other people. The world does need us. The world needs us to not be silent any longer. We need to be brave. We need to be warriors, beautiful, loving warriors. And, you know, we're not going to let what we've done in our past define us or confine us anymore. That's kind of how I translate that song. You know, there's so much to be distracted by. And, you know, this song was written so long ago, decades and decades ago. And it's so crazy how it applies today. You know, the neon lights and all the social media and you know, airbrushed everything that keeps us silencing ourselves even more because we don't feel like we could live up to certain things. And I want you to know that each and every one of you have so much value to give. So much to this world. Not just in isogenics. Like, this is so not about isogenics, as you guys have probably figured out. You have value to give. And every time you open up your mouth and you release a mask and you take it off and you stand boldly in that beautiful vision that you have, you're giving other people permission to do so. And they're just waiting for somebody to go first. They really, really are. Rita, you nailed it earlier when you said that. You know, it's scary to do it. But don't be silenced anymore. Please, 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 please. Step into it. Love trumps fear. It does. It does. So I'm going to end on time tonight. That song got me moved in ways I can't even imagine. I've been thinking about it all day. So that's all I got for today. I'm really, really excited for this next 30 days. If you haven't already, on page 54 of your 90-day game plan, it takes you to month 2. And it's time to evaluate what you've done the first 30 days. And if you feel like you've given 110%, then bravo, keep doing it. And be really honest with yourself. If you set big goals and then you didn't do the hard work, I'm not telling you to beat yourself up over it. You're just going to do different, okay? You're going to act as if. You're going to keep working hard. I can't teach you hard work. I can maybe motivate you to get your head out of your rear end and maybe remove a mask or two and maybe just love people a little bit more and realize that you do have so much value to give. So much. Do not diminish your beautiful light, because like Rita said, there's people are in their darkness all the time and they need to see the way. And the only way for them to see the way is if you shine your light bright, as beautiful as you are. So please, 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 this is not about us. The more that you love people and serve people and really care about them, the easier this gets. But do it every day. So I love you all for reals. Like, I look forward to Monday nights with you. Next Monday I will be in Vancouver, but I plan to do this from my hotel room, and as long as I have good internet, I will be here. Even if I have to bail a little bit early from whatever's going on there, because I made a commitment, and I'm going to honor that. So I love you guys. Keep up the hard work. Keep blessing the crap out of people. Keep stepping outside your comfort zone. Keep removing the masks one at a time, and just go love on people, okay? Love trumps fear, you guys. See you next week.
Bye, beautiful.
Bye. Love you.